I don't believe in sitting, and neither did Seth. That's right. Seth and I met because of his commitment to ideas. As has been said, he's one of the truest intellectuals I've ever met. I published a book. I teach here at UC Berkeley, and I published a book called The Chair, Rethinking Culture, Body, and Design. It came out in '98. And he signed up for office hours and showed up in my office in Worcester Hall. Said, I really liked your book. I've never had any other professor in this university ever express an interest in an intellectual idea, ever. It's, it's all about, there's all sorts of hidden competition and jealousies in universities and the citation rings and blah, 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 all that stuff. Anyway, it was, wow, like refreshing. It turns out, guess what? We were both Reed students. How many Reed students are in this audience? Any Reed alums, other ones? Well, that was Seth and me. And I think that, Reed attracts a lot of nutcases who are interested in ideas first and foremost. So that was part of the deal there. So as it happened, a memo had just crossed my desk saying that professional schools and liberal arts schools should do something together. Professors would get a little stipend to do a course. And I said, why don't we do something together? Because he told me about his treadmill. He walked at a slow pace while using his computer. And I had trained mid-career as a teacher of the Alexander technique. I'm actually a sociologist. I teach in architecture, and I did this mid-career thing. So I said, why don't we teach a course on redesigning the office place? And we called it the Office of the Future, but an article in the Daily Cal also picked up our subtitle, which was The Neolithic Office. I think in the year 2000, when we taught it, paleo wasn't quite so big. We probably would have called it the Paleo Office had it been big, but it wasn't. So we just settled for Neolithic. And we did that then again in 2003 with people from the business school. So, just as it has been said here, Seth is still, he's still sort of alive. He's still a force. He was a true free thinker. And then he told me about all these experiments with the mood business and the food. But I had read Weston Price years and years before, so I didn't follow so much on the food thing. But we did go eat together, so that was a lot of fun. We had some really weird meals in time. The thing that one thing we only argued about was the word exercise. He thought exercise was, like hop 2, 3, 4 kind of stuff. For me, exercise is almost the same as behavior, just movement. And that I felt that movement was just as important as what we eat, and daily routines of movement were particularly important. I now wish that I'd pushed him harder on that score, because I think he didn't want to do what he thought of as exercise, and who knows what role that played. I don't know, in his very premature death. The thing we shared after he left Berkeley and started teaching in Beijing, we still had our dinners, and we would talk mostly about pedagogy and what made for effective learning and what made for happy students. And he had, as I'm sure some of you know, very strong ideas about letting students develop and do their own thing, and just providing a framework for supporting that. I regret that he's not here in so many ways. I realized he had been kind of a brother to me. Yeah, kind of like a brother, because, like I said, it's so hard to find anybody who's actually interested in your work, like genuinely interested. And so, when I read a really crazy book, like just recently I've read an old book that's been around 30 years by Zachariah Sitchin. Anybody ever read The 12th Planet? Ever even heard of it? Well, it's a wild book, and I could have talked about it with Seth, and I wish he were here. Thank you. I I want to apologize to the next person that I have to go. A colleague of mine, another colleague, is turning 80, and I have to go to that birthday party. And I wish he'd been here to turn 80.